Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular City Council meeting, 7/20, May 7, 2024. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Roth?
Present.
Councilmember Soto?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Present.
Mayor Moran?
Present.
For the record, Councilmember Mann is not in attendance.
Are there, Council, are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Moving forward with citizen comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the City Council on any item not on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the City Council this evening. Is there any citizen comments on the phone in regards to any item that is not on the agenda? Anyone on the phone? Bringing it back to the chamber, any citizen comments in the chamber for any items that are not on the agenda? You may step forward, state your name for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Subjit. I obviously saw today, Board of Supervisors meeting, voted to close the station. Was not expecting that. Really troubling to see that. Don't know exactly what steps look like from here on out. I don't know if you guys are planning to update in any announcement. Just didn't see it on the agenda, so I came up. One thing I wanted to say is I know there are steps that have been discussed related to a tax. I know there's a survey that's going to come out on that. I know you guys have been working on this for a decent period now. And whether or not it can be something that's super quickly after October 1st, I'm not sure how quickly this can happen. But I just hope this continues to remain priority. Like the biggest thing that we're doing from here on out, or one of the biggest things that we're doing from here on out, is making sure that we do everything in our power. That if the station closes on the 1st, we can open it back up on our own, figure out a new agreement. I'm not sure what that looks like. You guys have a better idea than I do. I just hope that remains top priority. Like just as somebody in the community, if there's anyone that can help with that. Spoken to a handful of you. You have my contact. Please reach out. Happy to help in any way. Just want to make sure that we can keep that as something in Livingston for a long time. And it's crazy. I couldn't go to the Board of Supervisors meeting today because we actually had, I actually had a family member that last night needed emergency services, and we had fire respond within a few minutes, and that's what we needed. And we got it. And the only thing I keep thinking in my head is, what if the fire station wasn't here? You know? And it's weird that it worked out like that. And spent the night in the ER, didn't get a chance to make it in the morning today. But that was big time for us to have a response last night. And just, yeah, everything we can do, anything in our power to make sure that once that closes, we can get something up and running ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Any comments? Seeing none, bringing it back to the dais. Announcements or reports? Any city staff announcements or reports?
Not tonight, Mayor.
Okay. City manager announcements and reports?
Yes, Mayor, just a couple updates on my side. Did attend the County Board of Supervisors meeting this morning. I did provide a synopsis of the 2 proposals that have been provided to the county. The first one is overtime allocation of funding to keep Station 96 open. As I mentioned earlier this morning, the City of Livingston's council, because of its leadership position, has decided that it's open to funding the entire overtime allocation to keep Station 96 open. That wasn't mentioned in the discussion this morning. I did mention it, that proposal has been provided to the county. That means that the city council has essentially put aside the conversation related to what's an equitable split to keep that Station 96 open, just to ensure that that station remains open. The second item, proposal to the county has been to split the costs equitably and fairly with the county of Merced to keep that station open. There was mention at the Board of Supervisors meeting by some of the members of the board that they're looking to have a fair and equitable split with another agency in the county. We've simply been asking for the same thing. And so we're hopeful that the county does provide the same type of theme to the city of Livingston. And so there are some other options that we'll be exploring come potentially this November with the potential sales tax measure. So those are the updates that I have on my side, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have city council members' announcements and reports. Councilmember Roth.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Going back to last month, I attended the Planning Commission on April 9th. They had a few questions for the city council. I referred them back to the interim city manager. He did get back with me, and I will report to them the next meeting in June. On April 12th, I attended the Guns N' Hoses baseball game. Great game. Congratulations to the fire department. I know this is a month behind, but we didn't get to announce last month. And then this last Saturday, I attended the Festival of Bands, not for very long, but it was very nice as always. And then on Sunday, I attended the BDC Volleyball Sports Club tournament at the Indian Temple, and they presented this to the city. It's BDC Volleyball Sports Club, Livingston, California, second annual volleyball tournament 2024. Special thanks to the members of the city council for their support. So there it is. And lastly, I have a meeting with the MCAG for our last One Voice meeting trip. I'll be in Washington, D.C. Starting next Tuesday. So, to advocate for different things for our city. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Soto.
I don't have anything to report. I have attended several meetings and gatherings on just on my own behalf, not representing the city. In particular, one which would have been the Children Legislative Summit, where our youth are under 5 are not being served, even though our county has some Head Start services within Livingston, well, throughout the county. So there's like over 80% of youth under the age of 5 not being served, and that needs to change. I did attend the Board of Supervisors meeting, as you know from the report, and hopefully word has gotten round. I do appreciate those that did listen in on the Board of Supervisors. Would have been impactful, and it is too late as if we would have came as an army to the Board of Supervisors and just really let them know. They did get earfuls from residents throughout the county in support of their stations and fire service throughout. So if you attended, you did hear some news, but rest assured that the City of Livingston is working on some of the alternatives. We did not go in there blindly, even though they hit us that way back in April. I don't really have any much more to report. I'm sure I do, but not right now.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Outside of attending regular meetings, over the weekend I had several calls. I didn't believe what I was hearing until I went to pay my utility bill. And it was up under solid waste by $5 and some odd change. What got me was there was a note attached said, based on council decision on 319, new rates are in effect April 1st. Now, when we approved the franchise agreement, we voted to approve the agreement and direct the city managers to sign the contract. There was conversation about the 218 hearing and all that. I don't know if I'm hard of hearing, but nowhere was it explained that action will automatically raise their rates. I don't understand. As far as I can remember, anytime their rates went up higher for the citizen and the user, we've always had a 218 hearing. Now, even when we were talking about that, and I was talking about it, I said legal doesn't make it right. Nowhere can somebody point to us that any staff member or somebody told us by approving the franchise agreement that we're automatically raising the rates. I don't understand. I have never heard of this. All long as I can remember, we've always had to go to the citizens and say, here's the time for protest letters, here's the time we're going to hold a meeting, and here's what we're going to do. I don't understand how this was done or why it was done. And again, legal maybe, but doesn't make it right. So can somebody explain why it was never explained to us by voting for that, we're going to automatically raise the rates and have no say in it for the residents? May I get that explanation, please?
Who are you asking?
Yeah, I'm not a citizen. I don't have to wait for next month for the answer. I would like to have the answer right now. When I was talking about 218, how come I was never informed that by voting for this, you're going to automatically raise the rates? How come I was never informed of that?
Well, then again, I'm asking, who are you asking?
I'm asking staff.
Okay, so I'll allow staff to go ahead and answer that first, and then I can provide some comments.
Thank you.
Sure. If anyone can provide some input.
Yeah, so I'll provide some commentary on this one. And this is after just numerous conversations with legal into the lead up of this. Historically, the city of Livingston has bundled the administrative fee done by staff as well as the solid waste component of the fee of collection. In this go around, the franchise agreement explicitly stated that the city would theoretically impose an administrative fee in addition to the provision of services provided by Jilton. That was in the agreement. The rates were included in the agreement. All of those attachments were included in that item. So with that being said, we had numerous conversations with legal. That question related to whether it needed to be noticed via Prop 218 never came up at the dais. There was a conversation.
Yes, it did.
There was a conversation related to the admin fee at a subsequent meeting.
Oh, I asked for both.
So with that being said, if the council would like to rescind the approval of that item, it's certainly something that the council can direct staff to bring back to the council. With that being said, we're happy to answer any additional questions that the council may have.
No, I asked for both times. I asked both times. I'm sorry, but I asked both times. I voted enough of these things in saying that we voted for franchise agreements with Jilton before. There was nothing new in that month that I hadn't voted before. And each time the rates have gone up or whatever the cost to the city, it's gone back into where we did a study where we had water, sewer, garbage, all these studies were done. Every fee, everything we have was put into it. Then we put the notices out to the public, and then the public had a chance to comment before the council took a decision. And for you to say, what I mean you, I don't mean you personally, the city to say that by council decision, when all we did, at least in my mind, all we were doing was to vote to approve because we were up against the wall. We have no more choice but to vote for that contract. That we had no choice, vote that contract right now. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen. Nothing was mentioned, hey, you vote for this contract, we're raising the rates. Nothing was done. Where was that notice to the council so we can make a logical or informed decision? It was not done to us. And to this day, I don't believe the county, any other city that I know around here, that they did not go to a 218 notice to the public before they raised their rate to the end user. I don't remember doing that. Legal does not make it right. I said that day, I said it. Legal does not make it right.
So just one final comment on this one. The rates were included as far back as December. That was the cost that was provided by all the proposals. And I'll say this, I mentioned it earlier, if the council wants us to bring this back and cancel the franchise agreement, we're happy to do that. If the council would like us to do that, we can certainly bring it back.
What I want to do, Mr. Mayor, and I hope I get a second right now, I want to bring it at the next council meeting. If I have to have a special meeting, so be it. I want to lower the solid waste rates by the amount that was raised at the next meeting. Lower it to the end people. I don't care what the agreement says, we can artificially set our rates too. To me, this is plain wrong. If somebody doesn't understand that, I don't know why they don't.
So-
Nothing makes me more upset than pulling the wool over the council eye and the citizens. Especially when I said, you know what, I understand we need to do this, I support this, but not the way it was done.
So I'm not going to provide or ask a question, but I think what I'm going to suggest is I did have an opportunity to go back and not only read the staff report that was included in the 319 meeting, but I also had an opportunity to go back and I think I watched the meeting probably about at least 2 times, almost 3 times, because I didn't finish like the whole video of the meeting, but I think, and I do agree with what you suggest, you know, of the process and stuff like that, totally, but I think it would be helpful just to clear some questions on whether or not on the process and how it was done. I think it would be helpful to go back and watch that meeting, but I'll go ahead and second, you know, your request. That is not a problem, but like I said, I think it's important to, and this is just a suggestion. I'm not saying go back and do it. I'm just saying I went back and watched the meeting a couple of times, and I think, it helped me clear a few questions that I had, obviously, because it's been a month and a half, and although I take notes and I wanted to make sure that I remember everything.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to bring that an item back for discussion at the next meeting, by all means.
Mr. Mayor, as you recall, we had a meeting regarding some other issues where I mentioned that I rely a lot on staff's transparency and honesty. You understand that? You remember that? I said, I'm not going to read 500 pages of some vendor's propaganda or whatever. I rely on staff reports. You have to. This right here is eroding my trust in the very group that I rely on. And everybody knew, staff knew, that in the past, city has gone through the 218 proper notices and all that this vote may change that. It should have been spelled out to us. It wasn't. So again, I would like to bring on the next council meeting, I'm not going to cancel the franchise agreement because now we're going to open up another can of worms, but I do want to bring forth a rate reduction to the end user by the amount that it was raised because of this supposedly legal action that we took when I think it was not right.
So just to add to what you said, I do, and I will restate what I said before at a meeting. What you just mentioned was that I do rely, and I think all of us should rely on, or I rely on staff reports. But in addition to having a staff report, I make sure that I read my staff report to see if I have any questions for clarification. I'm not, ideally, I think that the expectation is for us to read our reports. I mean, I understand. I understand it's difficult to probably read, 300-400 pages sometimes. Probably like the smallest agenda we ever had is probably like 103 pages. I think this one today was 100 and, I don't know, I forgot. But, I think it's important. I mean, but it was included in the staff report. It was included in the previous, I think, the last time it was mentioned, the last time it was brought to our attention was, or that was part of a discussion, and whether it was back in December or so, but it is on page, actually I printed it out, I think it's on page 96 of the staff of the agenda. But, I mean, and I think this is just a perfect example, and I will continue to read through the agendas to make sure that if there's anything that to prevent this from happening. Yes, but I still do, personally, I still do rely on staff to provide, information, but, as good or as good as any staff member could be, I would still have to rely on myself to be able to make some time.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, it said that there will be an increase to the city for the total cost, but was it clear enough to say that this is going to automatically move forward to the residents? Did it state that?
Well, it has been in previous.
See, well, that's,
Well, at this point, if you have not taken the time to read it, I suggest you do and go back and watch the meeting. That's all I can suggest right now. And then, I mean, and to be at this point for you guys to tell me to try and remember everything that was on the report, word by word. Now you're blaming me.
Nobody's putting blame.
So what I suggest is you go back and read the report, watch the meeting, however many times you need to watch the meeting, and then come back and provide your information. But do not attempt to accuse me of anything.
Nobody's accusing you of anything. And nobody's going to applaud you for reading 130 pages every day.
I'm not
on
asking
page 96,
anybody to
if you
applaud
would
me for
like
reading.
If you would like to, share with us what you recall on page 96 so that it can be clear, because
I guess you have homework to do.
No, I have no homework to do. My homework here is to help guide a process. That evening, we were given a contract which we ultimately had to say yes to. We all know that. But I also recall the conversation that Gopal had proposed that we notify our residents and inform them on any increase. Now, like many of the residents, we get our bill, we expect something, we go pay it. All the documents that may or may not be consisted in there with vital information, sent on behalf of whatever organization has worked with the city to provide. That document caught me by surprise to know that it was a council decision that ultimately, because of the yes agreement, it also raised the rates at the same time, which in fact I remember vividly the discussion from, we need to inform our residents. We can't just raise the rates on them without them knowing. $5 in one bill for our residents without their knowledge might set them back just a bit, because I even know that from the last rate study, we increased it by cents over a period, over big periods of time. So to hit them with a over $5 increase and then eventually going to another almost $12 increase coming up without their knowledge, I'm surprised that the room isn't, well, I was surprised earlier the room wasn't packed with a general plan update, but our citizens should have questions why they weren't, well, we have questions, because I specifically recall the conversation saying, we need to put this out to the public, we need to make this right. And I understand what Gopal is saying, even though it's illegal, it didn't make it right for our residents. So I did my homework. I do my homework. Thank you.
Council, any other questions, comments, suggestions?
Just like my other two council members down here, I did open my mail this weekend and I saw that, and I thought in my head, I was like, wait, when did we approve that? I didn't recall that. So maybe that's my fault. Maybe I didn't read far into it, but I don't recall that, so.
And so just for reference, it's on page 93 of the agenda meeting for 2019.
Mayor, if I could just add a couple of things. The franchise agreement was discussed on March 19th, 2024. There was a separate conversation on April 16th related to a refuse administrative fee. And at that meeting, the council refused to adopt that one because of the comments that Councilmember Soto made about informing the residents. And so that direction provided that evening was to go to a Prop 218 process related for that specific item. That's the direction that was provided by council. So on the administrative fee, that was the component related to about a $12 increase. The council said no to that. And so that's a separate process, and that is the Prop 218 process that we were directed to do that evening. So that process hasn't started yet. That fee increase for refuse rates was not inclusive of a city administrative refuse fee. So two separate meetings, if I could just kindly recommend, and I'm happy to provide the synopsis of those meetings. March 19th, the approval of the franchise agreement with Jilton, which included the increased purely rates from Jilton. And then on March 16th, April 16th, a completely separate conversation related to the admin fee related to solid waste, which the council directed at that evening because of the questions related to Prop 218 to go through a Prop 218 process and notify residents related to the admin fee process. That was the direction provided, and that's where we're heading towards based on that council direction on April 16th, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I believe I had objected to both administrative fees when I said those administrative fees were already pre-calculated in the original adoption of the fees. And that one, on the 3/19th, as far as I understand, we approved the franchise agreement and gave the city manager the authority to sign the agreement. Nowhere there was any explicit motion made to grant the city manager the authority to raise the rate to the end user. Nowhere would it state that. It may be, like I said, again, we're playing this word game of legal. No, I don't believe that's what the council voted for. We voted for the franchise agreement and signed the contract so we can continue with Jilton. Nothing more than that.
So if you can, I think it would be good if you could put in, like, send an email just to, like, to see what it is we
Well,
want
what
to bring back, or
Ooh,
should we
well,
do that
can
now,
any
or-
staff member tell me exactly how much the bill went up?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head.
So what I want to do for the next council meeting, I want to, whatever the number that went up, I want that on the agenda to reduce the rate to the end user by the same amount, effective April 1st. Can I get a second on that to make sure that goes on the agenda? Because this is plain wrong to the people until we do the proper studies, give the people the voice to come down, say yay or nay, then do what we got to do. I would like to have a second on that.
I'll go ahead and second that, and then we can have that on the agenda. And then staff can tell us if there's enough time to be able to, it should be. But then again,
And also, anybody that is late in paying their bill by 5 something, we should need to waive all late fees for that, because this is
So-
plain wrong.
so maybe we
This is
can,
plain wrong. I'm sorry, but just plain wrong. I know it's $5, but this is plain wrong.
so maybe we can save that for discussion for that next week, or next time we bring that back. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to report?
I had a lot, but this got me all wired up. I'm done for the day. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a couple of things. On Friday, I had the opportunity to attend the annual Culture Day event. Well, this is actually I think is the first year that it's named Culture Day. In the past, has been named Cinco de Mayo, and it's an event organized by students at the Livingston High School, World Language Department students. So it's an event that is organized, an event that is performed by students, and this was on Friday at Livingston High School. On Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend the band review, the 3rd annual band review here in Livingston. Although it did rain around 11 in the morning or so, but it did give participants the opportunity to march in their marching competition. And then later, after marching, was the drumline, jazz, and concert. So it started raining, but the good thing that those competitions were indoors. And looking forward to next year. On Sunday, I had the opportunity, and I'm thankful that I was invited to attend the 2nd annual Sikh Temple volleyball tournament. I was able to see there Councilmember Roth, and he wanted us to try and join the team to play, but I said, I don't think I can jump anymore. So maybe next year the city could participate and form a team. I'm not sure about that, but anyways, we'll see next year. Previous week I had the opportunity, and I was invited to speak at the Victims' Rights Week celebration at the Merced Applegate Park. That was the first event, and hopefully they continue organizing that annual event, and because I think it's necessary. I also had the opportunity to attend the Grace Home Bake Sale. If anybody hasn't had the opportunity, I suggest you make some time next time, because and you're there early, because those cookies and those pies, they do sell pretty quick. I was able to buy a few items, and I try to be good and not have too much of the pie by myself. It was delicious. Thank you for that invitation again. And I also attended the pancake breakfast at the fire station. fundraiser. I actually had the opportunity to come, show up early, get breakfast, and then go back to the band review. So that was good. And thank you to Jackie and the Recreation Department for organizing and for inviting me to the Coaches Appreciation Dinner. I think that was great, and I think that should continue because it's a small token of appreciation to the coaches that take the time to volunteer throughout the year in all the different sports. Because really, without coaches, it would be very difficult for recreation to be able to serve those hundreds of kids that are served throughout all of your different programs. I appreciate it. And then if you end up having planning for that day for next year to do that dinner, send it to me early so I can put it on my calendar, and I'll be there. Thank you. And that's it.
If I
Next.
may,
Excuse me?
if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm glad you brought up the event that you attended in Merced. I forget the victims, I forget the title. Right now, my mind is cloudy, allergies. But I do want to let people know that this is Mental Health Awareness Week. And it's something that just like domestic violence, mental health is not talked about. It's one of those things that everyone wants to keep inside, no matter what it is. But again, we want to let people know that, well, I do at least want to let people know that even though we all go through our life's trials and tribulations, and we have our successes and our challenges, mental health is an item that needs to be addressed in our community, as well as domestic violence. Just going to some of the events that I attended regards to children, and even last night at the Scholarships Award, they did pay tribute to Eva Ybarra. It was really a very touching speech that our rec commission, Christina, had mentioned. And again, Eva Ybarra was violently shot, and it takes all of us to come out and speak against those horrific events that happen and occur. And I don't think everybody has healed from those, because I know that even now I get a little bit emotional thinking about this occurrence that was just less than a year ago. So it is Mental Health Awareness Month. I've had to go over my own challenges here, just even being on the dais, being told to do my homework. That was just really inappropriate. We all do our best up here to speak on behalf of the residents, being so, facing challenges here, even facing challenges from even county representatives. It's really tough being the only woman up here. Well, Monica, she handles this up here. She does a great job. But Mental Health Awareness Week, I just want everybody to know that if at any time you need assistance or help or just an ear, I'm a good listener. I've put my phone number out there, my own email, and I'm willing to do that, hold workshops, even if I'm given space, even if I have to do it in an open park space, a green area, for any resident or anybody, especially women, who face some issues and have to go through some mental health kind of therapy. Again, I'm a good listener. So again, just want to put that out there and let you know that I'm here for the community if it's needed in that way. Not just through this week, but anytime there's a crisis situation, and I know that there are some issues that are going to be coming up, there almost always is. So again, I want to put that out there, Mental Health Awareness Week. If you can be a friend to somebody, be a friend, be an ear, be a listener, be someone to help and advocate.
Next, we have the consent agenda. So for the consent agenda, I do want to pull item number 5. Is there anything else in the consent agenda that anybody has any questions for? Otherwise, it would be item 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Pull to discuss or pull it from the agenda completely?
To discuss if there's any questions for any of those items. Okay, so seeing none, is there a motion to approve consent agenda with items 1, 2, 3, and 4?
I make the motion to approve item 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the consent.
Thank you. It's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem for the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Before I go to roll call, public comment?
Yes, thank you. Is there any public comment on the phone in regards to the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 4? Anyone on the phone? Any comment in the chamber? Seeing none, bringing it back to our dais. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Moran?
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
So item number 5, legal, you had a clarification?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clarify there was a typo in the agenda, but the resolution attached is correct. It should say a selection of a firm or individual. So it gives the option to hire an individual recruiter or a large firm to do the recruitment. I just wanted to make sure that it's clear to the public that it includes both of those.
Okay, so that was the clarification. Is there any questions?
Yeah, so when you say a firm, we're still going to get proposals for service, correct? Be an individual or a firm, correct?
Correct. It's just to make it clear that it will target both firms basically it could be either or that get ultimately hired.
Oh, got it.
It'll be targeted to both types of
Okay,
entities.
just want to make sure I understand, okay.
Thank you.
So can you give me a timeline, since we're discussing this, can you give me a timeline of how this is going to play out? Because I just want to make it, for my own clarity, because I know elections are coming up, and with this proposal going out, it may or may not affect the way people vote and understand what city managers might want to apply here, because going out and spending money on a firm for the RFP, I know that I brought this up before, is that I believe that our interim, Christopher Lopez, has done a considerable amount of work on behalf of Livingston. And there was an evaluation on his performance a while back. But I do know that I just want to know what kind of timeline that looks like, because I'm seeing this item as another way for a political move, so.
Generally, we recommend a minimum of 30 days for the publication in order to receive the bids. And then at that point, after the 30 days, the RFP would be closed, and then the bids would be opened, and then the bids would ultimately be brought back to council at the first, basically next regularly scheduled council meeting after the opening of the bids, for council to consider the potential entity to retain to do the recruitment. Usually we try to put something together, given, background on the different entities, costs and everything. And if we have other other entities that recommend them, usually let council know that they come recommended by X city or Y city. So that would be the game plan going forward, would be a 30-day proposal period. But council, at their direction, it could be longer. It's up to the council. But we would recommend a minimum of 30 days to get it out to those entities and give them time to prepare the proposal and get it back to us.
Okay, just another question, and I know that this RFP is going either to a firm or an individual, but ballpark estimate of how much this might cost the city to go out and get a firm to do this work?
Rough estimate, I would say $18,000 to $35,000, roughly, give or take.
I know that I did vote against that the last time, so I'm going to be outvoted again. But 18 to 35K is a lot to spend on somebody that's already doing a job for us and that is really looking out. I know there was a little bit tonight on the agenda or in the earlier discussion, but I do believe that the best interest in Livingston has been seen through some of the work that Mr. Lopez, our interim Christopher Lopez, has pushed forward. So again, thank you for the amount of work you do. All the events that were mentioned among us on the dais, Christopher has been in attendance at almost I think at every single one of the events. I don't know about that volleyball game, but I think you could take him. Probably lay off the sweets from the Grace home. But anyways, thank you for taking the lead on many of the issues that have been pushed back. I see a progressiveness for Livingston with your leadership. So I'm going to be outvoted on this agenda item, even though it's been pulled. I think 80 to 35K to spend on a firm to look for another city manager when we could easily offer the position that you've been holding for nearly a year and a half and doing some great work. Again, I see this as a political move. And to be honest with you, I don't like what I'm anticipating. So, thank you.
Council, any other questions, motions? Yes. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one thing I forgot to mention. We also will be directly mailing the RFP to individual firms and entities that we know engage in this type of recruitment.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else, Council? Motions?
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the resolution authorizing city attorney and human resource coordinator to publish RFP for selection of firm or individual to lead the recruitment process for a new permanent city manager.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Do you want to go out on public?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Please do your homework.
Is there any public comment on the phone in regards to item number 5? Hearing none, coming back to the chamber.
Mayor, Council, just one quick question, and that does not prevent the current acting city manager from applying for this position, does it not?
That is correct.
Good. Thank you.
Also, quick question. Is this standard procedure when it comes to hiring a permanent city manager?
because it's a professional service, it's not required under the law to do the RFP process like it is for other things, but it is typically the general practice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments? Seeing none, bringing it back to the dais. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Moran?
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 3-1.
Thank you. Next, we have public hearings. Item number 6, consideration of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Livingston repealing and replacing a portion of Chapter 4 of Title 7 of the Livingston Municipal Code pertaining to fireworks. Staff recommendation, waive the first reading of the ordinance by title only, open the public hearing, close the public hearing, and approve the ordinance as presented. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item comes back to council. This was an item that was previously brought up, and the direction from council was to amend the fireworks ordinance. What we tried to do in kind of fixing the inconsistencies and the penalties was assign all one specific penalty for each code violation. Generally, our recommendation, while some jurisdictions do have penalties in excess of $1,000 per violation, in light of the California Constitution and other legal standings, our concern was that could open the city up to challenges of the penalty. So since in California, a penalty for a misdemeanor violation is a $1,000 fine, we selected that amount. It gives a deterrent effect, and I think it also gives kind of teeth behind the code section and the amendments that the council had already made to kind of strengthen the fireworks ordinance and its issue with the discharge of illegal fireworks and non-safe and sane fireworks. But that is the bulk of the changes that we made was to correct that, and then to specify specifically that each code violation will be $1,000 per violation. Each code violations for a discharge of a firework in violation of the code would be $1,000 per discharge of the firework. So for example, when we talk about per violation, that means if there's multiple code sections that are violated, it's $1,000 for each code section. And each day that that violation continues, it's another $1,000 per code section. For the discharge, it will be, an example of, what we kind of see is pretty common in the valley, the mortars that kind of go off on 4th of July. So each mortar that goes up in the air, that's a $1,000 fine per mortar. In addition, it changed the it changed the language of the code. Previously, the code had the violations as an infraction, but in order to be able to legally justify that increased fine, we changed it to a misdemeanor. That is, it's a discretionary item, meaning the city does not have to criminally charge somebody for the violation. It does give that right to the Livingston PD should the situation warrant it to arrest an individual for a misdemeanor. And those misdemeanor violations are prosecuted by the city, not the district attorney's office. And so that's another issue that usually comes up, is concern that they tend to be of little effect because the DA's office won't prosecute them. But here, if somebody were cited and arrested for that, that prosecution would come to the city attorney's office, and the city attorney would act as the prosecutor of that municipal code violation.
So I just have I think I have one question. In the administrative penalties, there was some language that was red line, or in this case, blue lined. But And I try to look for it to see if it was added or included anywhere else. The language where previously it had any host who violates this section is subject to the same remedies available pursuant, blah, blah, blah. And I think I saw that crossed out, but is there a particular reason why, or can we add and include that language for the host?
So the reason why I excluded that language is that language actually limited the code. Mean the way it was written before would only allow you to assert that penalty against a host. But the language here, it's per violation. That will allow you, because we still have the provisions in the code that identify a code violation if you're a host. It still allows for that violation to, or that host to be cited under the code, and then the $1,000 per violation fine would attach. Similarly, it would attach to the individual, or could attach to the individual who themselves discharged the firework at the host's location. But because the way it was written, that's why I wanted to make sure that because my understanding of the council's intent was for this to cover not just the kind of social host aspect, and so that's why I removed that language.
Okay. Council, any other questions at this time? I'm going to go out for public comment. Is there anyone on the phone with public comment in regards to item number 6? Hearing none, coming back to the chamber, is there anyone in the chamber with comments in regards to this item? Seeing none, bringing it back to the dais at 8:17. I have no other questions, council. If there's no other questions or comments, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I will second it.
So we have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Councilmember Roth,
Yes.
Councilmember Soto,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samar,
Yes.
Mayor Moran.
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Next, we have council direction on future agenda items.
Just want to make sure that my item will be on the next meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, hearing none, 8:18, meeting adjourned, and we're going to head out to closed session, and we'll be back to report.
Oh, no, sorry.